And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Among Us. Now, Among Us is a game in which aliens have landed. Scary as all get out. They are taking over a huge city. We have agents running all over the place trying to stop these aliens and rescue the scientists who are studying these aliens. But somebody at the table is an alien. Sickens me. Okay, maybe I'm getting a little bit too much into the theme here, but that's kind of what it is, the base of this game. This is a game for 4 to 8 players. Somebody is lying. Here's how you play it. So there's two sides of the board. This is supposedly Washington, D.C., although I'm not really sure, other than the fact that the Pentagon is here and the Capitol, but whatever. There's two sides of the board. Each has a map. You're going to roll 2 dice to figure out where there's initial landings. There's different sectors, A, B, C, D, E. The sectors are on the board. And for each one, you're going to roll a number, okay? And every once in a while, you'll need to roll a sector, too. So the sectors are lettered A, B, C, D, E. But for each sector, you'll roll a number, and that's where aliens show up. A scientist shows up next to each alien, and then you have agents that are placed in starting spots on the board. At the beginning of each turn, one player is going to turn over the top event card. These event cards can be horrifically bad. For example, this one has aliens attack all the agents in the field. Put an alien token on every free territory controlled by an agent. So I'm going to be putting aliens. This guy starts here, so aliens go here. This guy controls 5 different regions, so there's aliens there. Over here, there's aliens. And the aliens are bad because if a whole sector gets filled, you're in severe trouble. And the game comes and gives you, you have vukus of these alien some things. So they're going to be showing up. They're going to be showing up every turn. That event just made some more show up. Then each player is going to take some turns. One of the things that you can do on your turn is you can draw some event cards. What you'll do is you'll draw the top 2 event cards. You'll look at them, and you're going to pick one to go in an upcoming event pile, and you'll pick another one to be a discarded event. This one's bad. This one's not so bad. Choose at least one sectors that contain at least 1 alien district. All the alien tokens in that area are removed. Well, that's not bad. So that's one I would put on top, of course. So that's one thing that a player can do. Another thing a player can do is you can move an agent. When you move an agent, these agents have removable lights. You take that light out to show that that agent's been used. So each agent can only be used once. Agents can move on the road that they're on. So you'll see this agent here is on a pink road, so he can move up here. Or he's on this green road, so he can move to any spot. Agents can't be in the same spot as another agent. So you have to be careful. You can also free the areas that you're next to by getting rid of those tokens, which is important because these aliens are going to mess up the scientists, and move a scientist. Now, the moving scientist in this game is kind of unique. If this agent here is next to a scientist, and let's say there's an agent down here, he can send this agent down here. So I would need to move and maybe get a guy here. What you're trying to do is you're trying to move these agents. These scientists can't move by themselves. You shoot them to another agent, and you're trying to shoot them to get them to one of these pickup spots here in the middle of the table. When you get there, you're trying to free the scientist, and if you do that, if you free all the scientists, you win the game. Now here's the deal. At the beginning of the game, everyone is going to get an assimilation card. Now most of these assimilation cards are agent cards. The vast majority are. In fact, I don't even see any alien cards in here, which is great. There's definitely an alien card in this pile, and there may be other alien cards. The number of alien cards in the game are based on how many players are playing. So these, let me find the actual alien cards. There will be a couple alien cards that are shuffled in. That's what the alien card looks like. Now, anytime you move an agent, you will draw more assimilation cards. So if I have a whole bunch of them, someone's going to assume I'm the alien. You only need 1 alien card for you to be an alien. Now, when the alien's going to mess things up, of course, you can accuse someone of being the alien. You can spend your action accusing them, in which players will vote yes or no. And then once an alien's been revealed, they're just going to be messing things up. They're going to be doing the planning and looking at the events and putting bad events on. It's better to be secret for a while so you can do things without people noticing. But also, when a scientist gets here, you're going to pick a group of people that everyone's going to vote thumbs up or thumbs down on that group of people. And then that group of people is going to decide whether they're going to send the scientist to safety or fail. They'll each put a card in. You'll shuffle the cards, look at them. And if there's a fail, the whole thing fails. But if they're all successes, then the scientist is freed. So when you do pick the group of people who are going to help get the scientist to safety, you want to make sure you don't pick someone who's an alien. And even if it does fail, you're not quite sure who the alien is. You just know it's one of the people in that grouping. Meanwhile, there's all sorts of cards in this deck. When motherships show up, if the fourth mothership shows up, there's 4 mothership cards in the deck. If the fourth one shows up, the game ends because the mothership's here. Otherwise, you're going to take these cards and add them to the deck that people can draw from. You'll keep doing that. And more aliens are going to be showing up. Every round, you're going to be rolling a certain number of dice a certain number of times to have more aliens show up at various spots on the board. And if a whole section is filled with aliens, the players lose. So the players are going to win by freeing all the scientists, and they will lose if the 4 mothership cards come out or if one whole sector is filled with aliens. That's how you play. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the components of the game. Now, the aliens are neat. The board itself, I like having the 2 different sides to the board. It is kind of weird to have Washington, D.C., and then it just not even be a little like Washington, D.C. That just was a little odd, but I don't really care. 2 maps is fine. These little police cars here, these things, taking these out is such a pain and putting them back in. We just laid them down when they were exhausted. So when I first read the rules for this game, I'm sorry, one more thing before I go farther on components. I should mention that there was a couple misprints in mine. We managed to make do and figure it out, but there's some pretty bad misprinting that we just survived without. But anyway, back to the game itself. The game, when I first read the rules, felt like a board game version of The Resistance because you're sending people out missions and you don't want to send out the aliens. But this game is different in many, many different ways. It almost feels like 2 games mashed together. There's the whole resistance. You're a spy. No, you're a spy. No, you're a spy. And there's a lot of good aspects of that. The deck of those cards, what's the deck called? The assimilation cards. That's a big deck of cards. And if I have 7 cards in front of me, the odds of me being a bad guy is much higher. And I really like that aspect because someone could have 2 cards and one of them's an alien, but probably no one will suspect you because there's only, in a 4-player game, there's only 1 alien card around. And in an 8-player game, I think there's 3. That's not really bad. Now, if someone gets multiple alien cards, they could also be the only alien. So, you're kind of, you think someone's not the alien. And so that's an interesting part of the game, sending people in, figuring out who the alien is. And it's kind of a major part of the game. And you're watching everyone with suspicion as they make every move. They take the 2 event cards, they put 1 event card, we're keeping this one, we're discarding this one. And they'll say, guys, both events were awful. Liar. Or were they lying? So I find that part fascinating. The other part is kind of like a very programming game. Getting the scientist in the middle is a really tough mind game. You're like, okay, so I need to move this guy here to get the scientist. Then we move this guy here to receive the scientist. And then we need to move that guy there to receive. And it's like you're trying to do a puzzle to figure out the fastest way to get the scientist in. Meanwhile, aliens are showing up and messing you up. You can only move each scientist once per round. Every time someone does move the scientist, they're drawing more cards, which might make them a bad guy. So I think that's a fascinating thing. The problem is the whole game comes across slightly clunky. The rules are not the best. A few misprints. Components are not perfect in all ways. Like the die with the letters on it, those are stickers. It's a stickered die. No, should not do that sort of thing. But I mean, this doesn't detract me enough that I didn't like the game, but it just feels a little weird having this working together. I almost wish the game was pure co-op and you were working together to get these people out of the city because that's fascinating. And then it's like, when we're doing this, move the scientist here. Wait a minute. I like to accuse Suzanne of being the traitor. And you do something like that and then it's almost jarring the shifts in the game because you're worried about who that villain is. and it might be the villain, but at the same time, you're at the same time working this game of figuring out the optimal path to get the scientists in. So I like this game. I don't love it because of that clunkiness, because of those things. But I think the idea is fascinating. I almost wish they took, I was going to say separated into two games, but they already have the one game. It's called The Resistance. But the other game about just moving the scientists and moving the different guys around while aliens are starting to pop up all over the board, that's a pretty cool thing. I like rolling the 2 dice to determine where the aliens are. I like the events. I even like the pulling events and sticking the good ones in the bad ones. So it's a mostly good game. Could be better streamlined, but it has some interesting ideas and adds something new to this genre, this whole social deduction, trying to figure out who the bad guy is. So for that, I would recommend it. It's certainly one to take a look at. I hope that they fix some of the mistakes in this one in future printings. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is Among Us. And I swear to you, I'm not an alien. I really am not. I'm not. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!